We've had some interesting times together, Ling. I'll be sorry to go.
We're too late. Well, at least he died on the job.
Welcome back to the channel, guys. If you're new, welcome. My name is Mike, and today we are watching You Only Live Twice, 1967. Be another James Bond film. Be the fifth one, actually. I'm kind of interested to see if we are going to continue the overall arcing story of Spectre and find out what happened to the second atomic bomb, because I think they only retrieved the first one. So I'm very, very excited to see what happens there if we do continue that storyline, or we might have one off, just one-offs and that sort of thing, which is okay too. I just want to see what really happens with that second atomic bomb. So hopefully we get that today. But without any further ado, guys, let's just get into You Only Live Twice, 1967. Smoking, sexual content, alcohol use, and violence. United Artists. And always this intro, which is something I always like to see. It'll be sad when I get to a film that doesn't actually include this intro. That was cool, the way it's separated.
Have a go for fourth orbit.
Remember that you have plenty of time in the other EVAs for experiments.
4, 3, 2, 1.
What are they doing exactly?
Maneuvering unit is working this time. I used it to get out, and it makes things a lot easier.
There is an unidentified object on our scope closing fast.
I see nothing. Now I see it. It's another spacecraft.
Chris, this is Mike. Does it look like...
Kind of looks like a spacecraft, but it kind of doesn't. Kind of looks like a giant bullet.
The front is opening up. Look.
I would assume that it would be Spectre.
Get back in.
That just looks awesome. Even though it doesn't look real, it still looks awesome.
Boy, Jupiter 16. Boy, Jupiter 16.
Kind of looks like Tremors, honestly.
Come in, please. Over. Jupiter 16. 16.
My lifeline.
Boy, Jupiter 16.
Well, he's dead.
It is ridiculous for the Soviet government to deny responsibility in this matter.
The Soviet government denies all knowledge of this affair.
I don't think it was the Soviet government, though.
My government sees this as nothing less than a blatant attempt to gain complete and absolute control of space itself for military purposes.
We don't agree.
Is that him? Sounds.
Tracking station in Singapore reported faint echoes of this craft coming down in the Sea of Japan area. Our man in Hong Kong is working on it now.
Of course.
Why do Chinese girls taste different from all other girls?
You think we better, huh?
No, just different. We've had some interesting times together, Ling. I'll be sorry to go.
We're too late. Well, at least he died on the job. He'd have wanted it this way.
That is true, but I don't think he's dead. Awesome! We get a cool intro. The cool effect right there with the eye. So we're gonna be dealing with volcanoes, or be on location where volcanoes are. I gotta say, I kind of like this transparency effect that they're doing. I'm wanting to catch their meaning on what that actually is. Louis Gilbert. As far as the intros go, that one's kind of above some of them and kind of below some of them. I'd have to do like a ranking thing at one point.
Present.
These newspapers go a little bit by too quickly for me, so I'll catch them back in the editing. What, Inspector taking the dead to examine them for something? I'm assuming Inspector because that was British.
Request permission to come aboard, sir.
Permission granted.
Okay, so what was with the theatrics?
Hello, Penny.
Money Penny.
You're late as usual, even from your own funeral.
Well, we corpses have absolutely no sense of time.
Bad joke, bad joke.
Well, now that you're dead, perhaps some of your old friends will pay a little less attention to you for a while. Give you more elbow room.
Oh yeah, that's right. I totally blinked on that.
If our Singapore tracking station is correct about the rocket not landing in Russia, then where did it land?
We assume it's Japan.
Are the Japanese equipped to launch such a rocket?
We don't think so.
Then who else is?
That's what you've got to find out, and fast.
Soviet Union and Spectre. But Spectre doesn't have a nationality.
When you get to Tokyo, go to that name and address. We've only 3 weeks before the Americans launch the next one. The Russians are planning one even earlier than that.
2 weeks? Or a week?
How was the girl?
Which girl?
The Chinese one we fixed you up with.
Oh, another 5 minutes I'd have found out.
Give 007 the password we've agreed with Japanese SIS.
I love you. Instant Japanese. You may need it.
You forget I took a first in Oriental languages at Cambridge.
So he knows Japanese.
Tube loaded.
That's actually kind of cool. Although he does know what she's saying, at least can catch part of it before the door closes.
No marigato.
Would be nice to know what they're saying. I bet it's just like thank you and that sort of thing.
I love you.
I have a car nearby where your friend is waiting, Mr. Henderson.
Wasn't Mr. Henderson able to come himself?
I suppose not.
Why?
He didn't say.
What's that?
How long have you been working for Henderson?
Long enough to learn not to discuss such matters with strangers.
Your most vital contact will be Tanaka.
Tanaka?
He's head of the Japanese Secret Service. I think London's theory about the missile being fired from this country is right. I don't know how or where. And don't ask me who's doing it either. I've a fairly shrewd idea that a major foreign power is behind it all.
You mean apart from Russia and Japan?
A large Japanese industrial concern is...
What? Oh, he got stabbed in the back. But he knew it pretty quickly, too. I don't know how, but he knew. Gotta move quickly. What's the plan here? Let's bring COVID flashbacks a little bit. Face mask. Make sure he was sending him to where he needed to go to.
Good evening.
Even though it's working out, he let it down nicely. Make sure that it didn't fall over. That's kind of cool. To be honest, that is so cool. And instead of using a stethoscope, I believe that's what it's called. I don't think he caused that though.
Get in, quick!
I want some information. I want it now.
I have no information to give you.
We'll soon see about that. Slow down.
That's actually still kind of cool. Everything about this has been very, very interesting.
My honorable mother taught me long ago was never to get into a car with a strange girl. But you, I'm afraid, will get into anything with any girl.
It's like instant replay.
I must say, you have a lot of energy for a dead man, Mr. Bond. My name is Tanaka. Please call me Tiger.
How do you feel about me?
I love you.
I'd like you to examine these as soon as possible. They're from Osato's safe.
He's an order for naval stores. 500 kilos of butter, 50 containers of lox. What is lox?
Oh, it's American name for smoked salmon.
Okay. That I wasn't sure of.
But it's also
I
the
didn't know
technical
that,
name
so.
for liquid oxygen, which makes rocket fuel.
My private train.
Back to train.
We'll see the photograph you found.
It's just a ship and a strip of land. It could be anywhere.
It says, photograph taken by female American tourist from coastal vessel.
Ningpo.
Check motor vessel Ningpo. Full details. All recent movements and present whereabouts. Rule number 1 is never do anything for yourself when someone else can do it for you.
And number 2?
Men always come first. Women come second. Your English girls would never perform this simple service.
I think I know one or two who might get round to it.
Miss Moneypenny, perhaps. We have our sources, Bonson, just like you.
Japanese proverbs say, bird never make nest in bare tree.
Is that a true saying or not? I don't know. I've never heard that saying before.
Because if ever they were discovered, they could deny all responsibility, especially if some private organization's doing the work.
Who is big enough?
Spectre.
Mr. Fisher?
Yes.
This way, please.
Mr. Osato is expecting you.
Thank you.
Oh, now he notices it.
Maybe offer you a glass of champagne, Mr. Fisher?
No, thank you. It's too early in the morning for me.
A Dom Perignon 59, Mr. Fisher.
Wasn't it the Dom Perry 55 that he enjoys?
You forgive me for saying so, but I think you are taking one now.
I am.
Mm-hmm. You should give up smoking. Cigarettes are very bad for your chest.
We're interested in the bulk buying of fermentation chemicals, of monosodium glutamate and ascorbic acid.
Would you like a license to manufacture?
Yes, very much.
I'll have my sales manager get the quotations on the delivery dates for you as soon as possible.
Which hotel are you staying at, Mr. Fisher?
The Hilton.
Kill him.
Get down!
He's getting very lucky so far in this movie. Where's his car when you need it?
Arrange usual reception, please.
That's cool. That's even cooler. I hope the engine's out of it.
How's that for Japanese efficiency?
Just a drop in the ocean.
Fun.
Motor vessel Ningpo is owned by Osato Chemicals Tokyo. Vessel at present, loading in Kobe docks. Sailing for Shanghai at 5 p.m. this afternoon.
Contact M. Tell him to send little Nellie.
Isn't there a rapper named Nelly? Not sure about Little Nelly.
Condensation, ice cold, liquid oxygen. time to keep that ship shadowed wherever she goes.
What's your plan here? I like this roof shot. Oh.
Give him to me and shut the door.
And shut the door. I like how she said that.
Why were you snooping around the docks?
I like ships, and I used to be a sailor.
You are a liar.
I have a confession to make.
What?
Actually, I'm a spy.
I know that.
Well, I've stolen Osata's new process for making monosodium glutamate. And, well, it's worth $300,000. Well, I'll split it with you if you'll get me out of here.
Osato would kill me.
All the things I do for England. Now, you're going to need some very close protection tonight in Tokyo because, well, that's when they'll try and get at you.
Interesting. I did not actually see that coming. I would have bailed. I wouldn't have tried to save the plane. Although he didn't have a parachute that.
Chasing girls will be the end of you, Bonsan. I have told you that before.
He didn't chase her. He did it so I could get away. He wouldn't touch that horrible girl.
Identified the coastline in the photograph. It is an island called Matsu.
Did it stop at the island?
I think so.
That one we took last night. And that one early this morning. Notice, please, the waterline.
You're right.
I have much curiosity, Bonsan. What is little Nellie?
Oh, she's a wonderful girl. Very small. Quite fast. Can do anything. Just your type.
A toy helicopter?
2 machine guns, fixed.
Synchronized to what?
100 yards. We're using incendiaries and high explosives. 2 rocket launchers, forward firing on either side.
Fine.
Now, these fire heat-seeking air-to-air missiles, 60 a minute.
Good.
Flame guns, 2 of them, firing astern.
What range?
80 yards. 2 smoke ejectors next door to them. Aerial mines. Now remember, use them only when directly above target.
How does he eject? If he has to eject. So he doesn't get chopped in half by the blades.
There's nothing here but volcanoes.
Understood.
Uh-oh. That's cool, though. Oh. Here's the thing, they're all the same, so they only have the same tactics that they can use. Whereas he has like 2 or 3 different options. Something's gotta happen with the last one though.
Little Nellie got a hot reception. 4 big shots made improper advances towards her. But she defended her honor with great success.
So they get swallowed as well. By the giant bullet.
Prepare for reception. Radar blackout is now complete.
Moscow radio's already saying that we did it.
But now emphatically we had anything to do with it.
But can we prove it?
Of course we can't.
The world isn't going to believe the Russians destroyed their own spacecraft.
We followed him for one orbit, now he's gone off the screen.
That means he's coming down.
Someplace in Russia. It has to be.
Withdraw, captive spaceship.
So this is Spectre 1. So he was right about it being Spectre 1 the entire time. What is their plan though? Because I still believe they got one missile. So why are they capturing these other countries' astronauts? How cool would it be if they start to recondition astronauts to be part of their team and become agents for Spectre? Just an idea. Maybe we'll get to that at some point in James Bond's career.
Our clients are satisfied with the progress so far?
My government is quite satisfied.
Good. You will see that my piranha fish get very hungry. They can strip a man to the bone in 30 seconds.
What is that painting there?
I want the sum of $100 million in gold bullion.
Our agreement states quite clearly that no money should be paid until war has broken out between Russia and the United States.
This is extortion.
Extortion is my business. Go and think it over, gentlemen. I'm busy.
I wonder if we'll ever see his face, number one. Probably not until the 80s, probably.
Do you know what gun this is?
Water PPK.
Only one person we know uses this sort of gun. James Bond. Bond is alive. Unless you killed him, Mr. Osato.
I gave number 11 the strictest orders to eliminate him.
And did she?
She failed.
This organization does not tolerate failure.
I know, but you see,
Go. Well.
Okay, I thought he was gonna kill her for half a second. Never mind, he did.
Bad news from outer space.
Yes, I heard it. Now the Russians are accusing the Americans. We'll have to get down to those volcanoes.
I agree.
Do you have any commandos here?
I have much, much better. Ninjas, the art of concealment and surprise, one son.
This must develop very fast reflex actions.
And spiritual strength.
I didn't think about that, but that is true. The willingness to fight.
100 of my ninjas will slide in unseen. They will be workers and fishermen. Rocket guns. Very powerful. See the little holes in the back for jet propulsion.
Oh, cool.
It's a fine gun.
This is our special baby rocket. It's very useful for people who smoke too many cigarettes like you.
That is awesome.
Accurate up to 30 yards.
That's awesome.
It can save your life, this cigarette.
You sound like a commercial.
You become a Japanese. You train hard and quickly to become a ninja, like us. To give you extra special cover, you take a wife. You must marry Yama girl, one who is known on the island.
Is she pretty?
She has a face like a pig.
The hell with that idea.
You must become Japanese.
Why don't you just dye the parts that show?
私たちだけの秘密よ。
I wonder what she said.
こんばんは。
Wonder if he actually did cut his hair or that's a wig.
From now on, you must do everything in Japanese style.
I bet you this is part of his. They're testing him. What you want to bet? That is so cool. I wonder how that works. I know I've been saying that a lot with all these stuff, but and all these gadgets and stuff, but it is actually very, very creative, and some of this stuff I could imagine actually seeing and believing that it would be real. Ow. Even with the cloth there, still ow.
Who am I?
That's cool.
You killed him.
Yeah, he tried to kill me.
This man is a stranger from outside. You will be a poor Japanese worker with humble Japanese wife at your side.
Yeah, with a face like a pig.
Still can't let that go. Oh, we're actually gonna get to see a ceremony? I bet you something happens at that ceremony. Wouldn't say that she has a face like a pig, rather she's just kind of old. I know that was a burn, but but still. Oh, I was thinking of something else. Is he gonna be married in the upcoming films, or is he gonna have the marriage annulled in like later movies, or is something gonna happen to her in order for him not to be married anymore? I guess the woman on the left is who I thought he was gonna marry, instead of the one on the right.
You gave false name to priest.
Yes, but we must keep up appearances. We're on our honeymoon.
No honeymoon. This is business.
Laying down the law.
The Americans have changed the launching date. The countdown has already started. Midnight, our time.
An Ama girl rowed her boat into Rusaki.
Rusaki?
It is a big cave on the mainland. And when her boat floated out again, she was dead.
Where is this cave?
Head straight across. The cave is over there.
Gas, get over the side, quick. Phosgene gas to keep the visitors away. You notice the sulfur on the walls?
The yellow?
Yes. It was once an underground outlet for the lava from the volcano.
There must be a long tunnel.
I do like these scenery shots. They're actually quite beautiful.
Some honeymoon.
Uh-oh. I really love that these are actually, you know, practical stuff flying in and out.
This volcano isn't active, is it?
It never has been. Not in my lifetime.
Is that deep?
They usually are. Very.
Get yourself a tree branch. Yep.
Open crater.
Get back to Tanaka. Tell him to come here with every man he's got.
Yes.
You know, that makes me wish that she actually had more than the tennis shoes. Like, she actually had something to cover up with instead of just a bikini and tennis shoes. That is a cool camera angle.
American target vehicle is now in orbit. Interception will take place in 2 hours' time.
We are now 4 hours plus 36 minutes into the mission.
それとね、この書いた書類をね、後で持ってきてください。はい、わかりました。じゃあ。
展開応援は Radar technicians report to control room.
You guys volunteer for astronaut training? In 6 months we started training.
Stand back.
Stand back.
Get into their uniforms.
I don't know how many men there were, but they should have more than enough. Uh-oh. I wonder how deep you would have to go in order to avoid bullets. That's always been a question for me, is how far you would actually have to go in order the bullets to slow down. And I believe Mythbusters tested that, different variety of guns and stuff like that. But it's always been a question for me,
on target.
even to this
Lock on
day.
target vehicle. Astronauts to launching pad. Stop that astronaut. Bring him to me.
Stop that astronaut!
He knows that it's James Bond. This should be interesting, guys. I'm counting on it, actually.
You made a mistake, my friend. No astronaut would enter the capsule carrying his air conditioner. James Bond. Allow me to introduce myself.
Oh.
I am Ernst Stavro Blofeld. They told me you were assassinated in Hong Kong.
Yes, this is my second life.
You only live twice, Mr. Bond.
Title of the movie. I didn't think we would see his face in the 5th movie. But that's not what I was saying about, but that's...
When America and Russia have annihilated each other, we shall see a new power dominating the world.
But I wonder why they decided to do that. I was hoping that we wouldn't do that until the 1980s. But he might not actually live that long because he looks like he's in his 50s or 60s. Number one, that is.
Ignition!
I don't know why, but in movies when they show you the ignition, I think it's the coolest thing ever. To see the bottom of the rocket.
Third one to base. Separation complete. Confirm acquisition.
Blow them up as soon as they have captured the Americans. Here's the key. To operate the exploder button.
Oh, he was planning to kill them anyway. The entire crew once they captured the Americans.
Firing power inside my crater is enough to annihilate a small army. You can watch it all on TV.
Well, if I'm going to be forced to watch television, may I smoke?
It's always the guys in red. They always get killed.
Close the crater. I shall look forward personally to exterminating you, Mr. Bond.
Gotta hurry, gotta hurry, gotta hurry. At least one of them is smart.
Interception will take place in 8 minutes. Nothing can prevent that.
For a minute, I thought he was about to stab himself.
Impregnable?
This is the price of failure, Mr. Bond.
I am surprised. Not that he killed him.
Goodbye, Mr. Bond.
That he didn't kill him when he had the chance
There's an exploder button up in the control room. We've got to get up there.
Impossible! Too well defended!
Evacuate the control! Evacuate the control!
Control room technicians. There must be another way up there.
to. That was kind of weird. Well, he's dead.
Bon appetit.
I feel like you're gonna come up with a cooler line than that.
Code word is imminent. Code word is not, I say again, not imminent.
Mixtures of that looked real and part of it didn't. Whenever we would go to the volcano, that just didn't look real at all.
Steady. Now, about that honeymoon.
Why not? But they'll never let you stay.
But they'll never find us.
I don't know about that.
Tell him to come below and report.
It'll be a pleasure, sir.
Interesting. That did not feel like almost 2 hours. Tell you what, I was very, very invested. So I did not think that we would actually see number one's face and actually get his name in this movie. And I even said so in the reaction. I thought we wouldn't get it until the 80s because I know that James Bond or the Sean Connery starts playing James Bond, I believe in like 1985, so I didn't think we would get it until then. And I do like the actual face reveal. It's very subtle, very, understated, I think is the right word. Hopefully I'm using that word correctly, but I just feel like, that it wasn't this, big grandiose thing, but I couldn't believe that we actually got to see his face. I thought it was going to be kind of like a Wilson situation where we wouldn't actually see his face until possibly the very end of Sean Connery's run. Was kind of my mindset going in. This in a way kind of feels like wrapping up the previous 4 movies and stuff like that. Because I did mention that number one does look kind of old and kind of like he might not live to be much longer. I do like kind of the scar and the facial. I wouldn't call it facial deformity, but I just kind of like the scar and the overall look. But he does look rather old, and he doesn't look feeble by any means. Like he's not gonna, kill over and die on us. But he's getting there. And I think that was kind of part of the reason why this movie kind of felt like, not that it would be the last movie, because even in the credits, they had mentioned what the next movie was going to be. In fact, I had mentioned in the reaction, which I cut out, which was I didn't see originally what the next movie was going to be. That kind of went over top my head because I thought it would be much later in the film instead of directly, right when the credits are rolling, and I just missed that. So I actually cut that part out there at the end of being saying, what is the next film going to be called? So apparently they did have plans to do a film after this, but I have a sense maybe that number one wasn't going to be like the main focus of the next one, but we'll have to see when I actually do watch the next one. Given that it's been some time, I have watched this like multiple times now, and just kind of formulated kind of my own thoughts and stuff, because I have watched it like, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 times by now. And, after, watching this one for the first time, I've gone back and rewatched this several times. Unlike the other ones, I think this one, And I think the reason is it's my favorite. And I don't think it's due to Japanese culture necessarily. A lot of people say that, they like to, you know, dive into that stuff because of the Japanese culture, but and stuff like that because I just find it fascinating. Unfortunately for me, I'm not well versed in uh I believe it's called like Asian culture and that sort of thing. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, guys, by all means, because I'm not trying to be, you know, mean or insensitive or something, but I believe it's called like Asian culture and stuff. I'm not well versed in that stuff. I'm mostly versed in European history and culture and that sort of thing, because again, I'm from basically North America, so it's kind of that, just kind of I have much more basis in European history and stuff like that than I do Asian culture. So, and I just haven't studied it, and so I'm not well versed in their history or anything like that. And this movie kind of makes me want to dive into that just a little bit. And I think the reason is we didn't really dive too deep into that culture or that since for very long, because we only really dived into it in about the last third or second half of the film. When he's training and stuff like that. And then in the third act, we also got really into the volcano. Um, I wouldn't say the volcano trope because I don't think it had been done before, or maybe it had, but not to this extent. And a lot of the time that I was, editing it, at least the back half of this film was I kept thinking of The Incredibles and how much of it kind of reminded me of kind of The Incredibles and how much inspiration that film took, probably from this one and others just like it, with the whole setup and I'm gonna use the word motif or motif and theme of it and stuff like that. And I can see a lot of inspiration that this movie kind of drawn from other films with just with the whole setup and base. And I actually liked it quite a bit because it actually, felt like well, of course it was thought out, but it actually felt like other films kind of use this as a template for kind of the blueprint or the schematic of what it should look like, if that makes sense. So I'm really into I was really into that and I just kept thinking of The Incredibles and you'll see a lot of you guys probably already know this, but I've seen a lot of references to Star Wars. Just in the way just in dialogue I almost said dialogue choices. This is not a video game, but just the way the dialogue is. Because for some reason, I kept thinking back to Star Wars and made, references and puns and stuff like that into like Star Wars and stuff like that. With this one, I really do see the combination of the 80s basically, or the beginning, shouldn't say the 80s, but well, I see the start of like the 80s with the one-liners and stuff, which James Bond has always kind of had that, to be fair, but I felt like this was more prevalent in this film with the one-liners and how many times he could basically escape with the help of the assistant to Tiger. I don't know his actual name. I'm just gonna call him Tiger because everyone else calls him Tiger. But basically, Tiger's assistant helped him out quite a bit, and I could see a lot of, close calls as you do with, 80s films and kind of the start of the one-liners and stuff like that. And I even called out one and said, I think you could have come up with something better um, than that. And that was kind of just the Bon Appetit line and stuff like that, because I just felt like uh, they could have done more stuff with that. Better line there. But anyway, I'm getting off track. But yeah, I think this one honestly is my favorite so far, as far as just seeing a lot of parallels that would come, about 13 to 15 years later, because this was in 67 and we get the 80s in like 13 years. So it just, for me, it just has a lot of parallels to what would become the 80s films. I really liked the basically the choreography and the fight scenes and the stuff with Little Nelly. For this one, I kind of really focused on like the action scenes and that sort of thing, and because that's what I'm most drawn to. It kind of just reminds me of kind of Lone Wolf in it and stuff like that, which is kind of what the 80s action films are known for. So again, going back to, I see a lot of parallels between this and what would happen in the 80s with action films and thrillers and that sort of thing. So for me, it was almost like a coming home because I'm well versed in the 80s and like the popular franchises and all that stuff, because I watch a lot of 80s films just on my own time, because that's where, I make my home. I've said it before on this channel and I'll say it again. That's where I make my home. That's where I, feel the most comfortable. Um, we I think we all have a certain decade or genre that we just feel home in, and this is kind of a precursor to that. Interesting thing about this, and kind of easy to follow, was the fact that they were kidnapping astronauts and they were es essentially trying to create a war between the US and Russia or the Soviets. I forget which, but basically the point was to basically become the new Spectre wanted to become the new superpower, or a new superpower, or something, something along those lines. Um, so basically, let them destroy each other, so that um, so that they could come to power, basically. And I thought that was kind of interesting in itself, because I didn't think that Spectre necessarily wanted that, because as far as I know, and I said it in the reaction, Spectre really doesn't have a nationality. And so I didn't think that they would. But the one thing I can get behind is when he said, his business is extortion. And so for me, that falls in line with Spectre, because they really don't, they're really just wanting to be the opportunist in this war. Um, you know, basically they want to play both sides and basically come out on top with just the opportunity to do certain things. But I didn't think they would want to become a superpower, is basically what I'm trying to say. So it was just kind of interesting in that I think if we're just talking about James Bond in the 4 films, I think Domino is still my favorite. Yeah, I know I haven't said said very many things about the Bond roles yet, but this being my 5th film and all, I think Domino is my favorite out of all of them so far. And that's just because I think she's helped Bond more than the others have in certain aspects. Just in that sort of way. So I think Domino's still my favorite, and that sort of thing. But with that, guys, I think that's everything I wanted to cover. There's probably more that I could have talked about, but I can't remember at the moment. So if there's anything that I did not answer that you would like a question to, or needed my thoughts on something that I didn't cover in this reaction, feel free to leave a comment down below or a question down below, and I will I will respond to that comment with my answer and my thoughts about the thing that you asked about for the film, because there's, like I said, there's a lot to unpack with this movie. It's one that I really liked and probably my favorite. But I think that's everything I wanted to cover in this video. Do consider commenting, and subscribing, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you, guys.